This episode is sponsored by Visual Media. Are you an entrepreneur or a small business looking to take your brand to the next level? Then Visual Media is the service for you. Visual Media is a video production company who specializes in creating high quality visual content for social media, websites, and online courses. Head over to Visual Media on Instagram and drop Resilience in their DM to get started. That's VZUALMEDIA _ to get started. What's up, everyone? This is Resilience in Action with Erin Brown, the number one podcast for anyone looking to have a greater human experience. Hello, everyone. This is Resilience in Action with Erin Brown, and today our special guest is Jim Love. I'm not even going to butcher your bio because you got a lot of amazing stuff to share with us. But what I will do is give you the floor and have you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Totally. Well, thank you for having me, Erin. Really excited to be with you today and chat with you. And there's just so much good I could tell that comes from this podcast. So we're excited to be part of that. My name is Jim, like you mentioned, originally from the south side of Chicago, and I live now in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I've been here for like 10 years, so it's basically home now. And some people at home in Chicago are gonna want to slash my tires for saying that. But either way, I live in Milwaukee. Just got married last year, which has been awesome, and my wife is great, and she'll love me for saying that. No, I'm kidding, but it's been a great time. So I'm actually a keynote and motivational speaker for. I've been doing it for about 8 years, which is wild to say that. And I really center on high school and college students is like my bread and butter. But what I found in the last 2 years is there's a message of authenticity and positive energy that everyone needs to hear. So I've just been able to kind of take like the nuts and bolts of what I talk about and give it to all ages, which I really love. And so my company, if you will, is called Authentically You. So really about being yourself, what it means to be an authentic servant leader, and to accept yourself, the self-love. I talk about mental health. So there's a lot that goes into it. And it took a couple life experiences to have me get a story and be able to share it in that way to motivate. And I love doing it. It's it's like my favorite thing. And then I'm also a podcast host for my podcast called Hustling Sideways, where it's a buddy of mine from college. His name's Alan Hallis, great dude. And we both have side hustles, that we like to talk about. And we decided to start it like right after, it was like the beginning of 2021. We decided to just do something different. And we thought it was going to be a very like Milwaukee centric thing, but we've now had people from over 20 states that have been our guests. And it's been a blast. And just talking about people who have passion for something. That's just like what we really enjoy beyond the 9 to 5. We both have that, and I have a day job as well. I work at a company called Manpower Group, and I manage a sales enablement team. I love doing that, and I love kind of having my side passion. And so I write a little bit, I do podcasts, I've MC different things. So I'm just like, whenever I get a chance to get a microphone, I usually take it. So it's a good time. And I'm the youngest child, and I want to be the center of attention. That stereotype is totally true for me. And so anytime I get to do that, I let the good times roll. And I just, I'm excited to chat. And that's a little bit about me. I'm 31, so I'm still relatively young, but been around the block a few times, and able to share some of my experiences.
Awesome. So in your 31 years on this earth, what is one takeaway that if you have to forget everything else, what is the one thing that you're going to take with you?
Yeah, I think that kindness matters. Particularly the last 2 years is, in a nutshell, but generally what I've always found is that the kinder you are, the more likely you're going to succeed. And you don't have to be a jerk to be successful, and you have no idea what people are going through. So every time kindness always wins, and it really does matter. That's to boil it down. Every experience I've had has taught me that, and every approach I've taken, I've tried to implement it. But yeah, that's the biggest lesson I've had for sure. And I'm glad to have had it and have figured it out by now. But many people a lot older than me have not figured that out, and hopefully one day they will.
Yeah, I hope so too. Kindness definitely matters. I think for the past 5-6 years, maybe about 5 years, I woke up with this just urge to do something kind. Like, not nice. Niceness and kindness are two different things. But I wanted to just be kind, show kindness. And kindness a lot of times costs us nothing, right?
Free finance tip, right?
It's free.
Yeah.
Like, being kind is free. Smiling is free. Just being being a kind person, it's free. It costs you nothing.
Yes.
It costs you nothing. And I said, you know what, Erin, you're going to wake up, you're going to do something kind for at least one person every single day. It's like second nature now. I'm complimenting people. I am, hey, those shoes are sharp. Hey, I love that tie. Your dress is awesome. I look at your hair. I love it. Like, small things.
Awesome. Yeah.
Those small things make the most impact, and they make the biggest difference. And with this month being National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, I want us to really, really become more intentional about the kindness. So could you tell me, or tell us, how you implement kindness intentionally in your day?
Yeah, there's a quote that I have, like, it's on my work email, my personal email, hanging up in my living room. So it means a lot to me. And it's a quote from a gentleman that I met in college who was a Jesuit priest, and it was just a great guy and a big mentor to me. And this is like the one that I try to live up to. I do as much as I can, but I'll share with you the quote. It's, "See written on the forehead of everyone you meet today, make me feel important." See written on the forehead of everyone you meet today, make me feel important. And that one is like what I think. I try and remind myself every day that everyone I'm speaking to, or whatever I'm facilitating, whatever it might be, is an important person. And I want to treat them that way. And that's where it comes out. Like, then they feel like they're being talked to specifically, and their goals can be met. And I'm always just trying to, like, implement that. And then, just generally, just don't be a jerk.
Yeah, right.
And go around. But that quote, especially when I have difficult people, because we all do, it's a reality. Not everyone's going to be that great, but to really, like, I try to shun out some of that negativity and focus on how I can make my own difference or my own positive change. And and I've actually been accused of, like, toxic positivity before, doing that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't buy into that. I mean, bad things happen. I'm going to acknowledge that, and, like, I don't bottle that up. Like, I acknowledge it, it's there, and I want to become vulnerable in it, but then I make a specific intentional decision to move forward and try and create positive change from it. And I feel like if we don't do that, we're just going to be sort of in our own kind of misery, if you will. And there's just so much more to do. So that trying to see importance in people, and then taking some of that negativity and turning it into a positive change that I can control. And that's what I try and do. So take it or leave it for some folks, but it's worked for me. And I find myself happier in the moments that I reflect back and I'm able to do that. And when I'm in a rut, I look at that quote, or I just sort of do, like, just practice any kind of intentional gratitude that will help me get back to where I'm supposed to be. And that's always been really helpful for me. So, like, that sort of positive and gratitude attitude, if you will, comes in, that helps me out to get to the next level. But yeah, that's a big way. It's a focus of mine, and something I look at literally every day. It's in my email and in my living room. And I'm just, like, always thinking about it. And so I try to make it habitual, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I love that. That quote is I wish more people could live by that quote.
Great.
That's the first time I've heard that quote. I've heard it in other ways, obviously.
For sure.
But just that delivery, sometimes a lot of it is the language that we use and how it hits certain individuals. Can you think of a time where you actually needed someone to make you feel important and they didn't, and how you navigated that journey in that situation?
A great question. I would say, and I actually talk about this in the keynote that I give, but I had a pretty emotionally abusive relationship about nine years ago or so, and it was my first, like, real relationship. So it was like I was excited, like the honeymoon phase, all that kind of great stuff, and I was really, like, I was excited, right? And was like looking forward to what that would bring, and the people I'd meet, and like really to like have this sort of partner in crime, if you will, the way that it goes. And when like it was about 7 months in, the tide shifted a little bit, and she became sort of like this bully, et cetera. And I didn't really know how to handle that. And it was someone that I was supposed to be like that sort of person for me to take me to the next level, and to really like kind of be my biggest fan, if you will. And so like it just sort of naturally started deteriorating, and it took my like attitude down, and my own sort of self-worth down, and it was all happening like subconsciously without me realizing it. And it took like months for me to understand exactly like where the red flag was, and how, how basically how to get out of that. And it was really difficult, it's something, the fact that I speak about it today tells you all you need to know. It made a really big impact. And it's funny because, when you speak about something so often, you think about it, so like I'll like still have dreams about that. Like I guess I'd call them nightmares. They're not positive dreams, but it's really interesting because like I learned so much from it, but it still sticks with me, and it's something that's really kind of defined, who I am. So it's really interesting that I would definitely name that as number one for your example, but I'm so grateful for it. Like I'm really happy that happened, and looking back, I would have done it the exact same way all over again, because it truly formed me into like this person who is now stronger willed, and feels empowered, but also like wants to empower people too, and wants to make them feel like they're important. And if folks that I'm speaking to don't necessarily have that person that can give them that strong will, or see them as important, and really kind of serve in that like almost mentor role, I want to be that person. I want to help them out and do that. And maybe it comes from I'm the youngest, and I always wanted a little brother, but tomato tomato, it is what it is. I find myself serving in that role, which is great. And it really comes from a lot of positive experiences, but a couple of the negative ones like that really taught me, number one, that happiness comes from within, but number two is that you can have people that can bring you higher, and you can pick and choose who those people are. And it was, I realized that, I was 23 at that time, 22. And it was an important realization for me to have. And now, moving forward, it's like, that was great. Okay. Like, let's continue, and let's keep pulling like bits and pieces of that and unpack it. And my therapist can tell you all about this because she's heard it many times. But it's great, so it's a journey, and I like that. I like being open about that whole journey, because at the end of the day, like we're, I'm like done hiding stuff. Like we're humans, and there's empowerment in sharing to whatever degree you're comfortable. But I feel strongly about that, and I think we can create a community, which I feel like you've done so well with this platform and what you have, and the story that you share, and that's great. And to be a part of that is an honor. So yeah, that's a long answer of that, but it's I look back, I'm like, yeah, that sucked, but it's also great. Like I can take it and move on from it in a positive way, and that's the way that I took it. But it was significant at the time.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're able to look at something like that, and all the trauma, because I know there was a lot of trauma in there as well. And you were still able to say, you know what? Yeah, this was a horrible situation, but look what I learned. Look how I've grown. Look at the person that I am today. And kudos to me for being able to navigate through that. And that's really, really powerful, because there's a lot of people who get stuck, right? They get stuck in that situation. They get stuck with that mindset of not really being enough, and not believing that they are worth, and they are valuable, and they're worth so much more than what they're getting in that moment, in that time. So it really takes a lot of heart work.
Yes. And I found that like that story I give is actually one of the more relatable things I talk about, and because it could be a romantic relationship or just a friendship, or it's toxic and it's not working, and I have a lot of people come up to me after of like, I have that in my life right now. Like that was a wake up call. and I didn't expect that when I started. It was just sort of like a part of my journey, but I'm really grateful for it, that's something that they can find a lot of solace in and actually use it as a value point for them to move forward into whatever they need to do. And so I have so many, like some students or whatever age parents will share things with me that they may not have told anyone yet, and they feel compelled to do that after like an hour. And it's because they related to that story and they like, wow, that's that's going on right now. And that's really where I find like my motivation. I mean, it's so cool and a gift to be able to connect with people on an intimate level immediately, and they feel like they can share something with you that's not easy, and probably hasn't been shared often by them. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. How do you think of? How do you feel? I want your answer. I want to see how you answer this authentically, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about us being servants and being servant leaders? What do you think? How do you think that and selfishness goes together? How do you feel? What is your take on that?
That's a great question, and because the two are a little bit in contention. So I would say, like as authentic servant leaders, and I believe we are that. We serve the people we work with, and just have that vibe. A lot of times we're so focused on the people around us that they're good to go, they have what they need, they're happy, they have their resources, all those great things, and that's wonderful. But oftentimes we forget about us, about other, and I use this analogy, like picture your leadership like a cup. And in order for you to fill people with your energy, with whatever, the positivity you have, your cup has to be overflowing. If your cup is empty, nothing's going to come out of it, right? So like that's when you have to be a little bit selfish, and it's okay. And to me, like the word selfish, it obviously always has this like negative connotation, but to be selfish in your self-care, to be selfish in taking time for you, to be selfish in going after the passions and the activities that set your soul on fire. Like that's what selfish should be. And it's a good thing. Like it's a good thing to do that. And then you take that energy and you put it on the rest of people that you're serving around you. So like, I love that question because I think a lot of people hear that are like, oh man, one of those is negative, and I'm like, no, like that's good. It's good to keep those in congruence with each other. And I so believe in that. And I have my things where I'm selfish on, like I have to have, and if I don't, things aren't going to be pretty, like I have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a part of the journey. But I think, the big thing there is that the only way you know how to be selfish productively is by trying the things that will help you, or failing and then going, maybe it's going to see a therapist, maybe it's going to meditate, to pray, whatever those things are for you that you need to do those intentionally and make them habitual, where you can then take that and be ready to be the authentic servant leader that the people around you need, because they need that, but they need the full version of you, not the one that's empty, right? And it's like filling up a gas tank. You need it, right? Or that cup, or whatever it is. But that is vital, and you really can't have one without the other, in my opinion. You have to be a little bit selfish to get to that level of servant leadership.
If you're watching this interview and you see me and I'm over here excited because Jim just hit the nail with the hammer and drove it all the way through the wood. Like he just because selfishness, we grew up and we've been taught that selfishness is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's taken me a lot of hard work and a lot of hard work to navigate. Hey, wait a minute, that's not totally true. It doesn't have to be this or that. It can be this and I just want to. If I could do a backflip, I'm scared to do backflips. I'm scared to do cartwheels, to be honest. I don't know. I've never done one. So I feel like I'm too tall, and if I do it, I might break my neck or something. Yeah. So I don't even want to try it. I have more work to do on this earth, and the last thing I want is to be taken out by a cartwheel. Okay. But if I could do a cartwheel, I would. I had a feeling that your answer would very much align with what I was thinking. Right. And from the moment we jumped on this call, you were like, yo, the vibes, like we're on this. Mm-hmm. We are. We are, yes. I've been going live for 3 nights a week on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's just like a quick, maybe 10, 15, 20 minute, just talk about whatever I'm feeling on my heart. And I promise I did my live last night. It dealt with kindness, kindness for yourself and kindness for others. And also, I speak about this all the time. We cannot pour from an empty pitcher. No matter who you are, if you're and we have, like, I get parents all the time. It's like, no, but my child needs this and my child needs that. And I have to say to you, how are you going to fully show up and be the person that your child needs if you're not taking care of yourself?
It's not possible. Yeah, it just doesn't work. You
It
know,
doesn't.
yeah, I'm with you. And I guess I will acknowledge that there's a radical form of selfish that is negative. Like,
Yeah.
obviously that's a thing. And because I don't want people to take that the wrong way of like, always be selfish. Like, to the degree that it enables you to serve your people better is how you should be selfish. And then after that, like, you shouldn't be thinking, like get that going, be with your people, rinse and repeat, back and forth, whatever it is. But which I would imagine then servant leadership, of course, has an extreme that's also like not good. Like, that's like, you can't be too unselfish. So it's the two dichotomies that go together. But no, 1,000%. I'm with you.
Yeah, I love it. Earlier you spoke about being accused of toxic positivity. Let's go there, because that is, I feel like you can, that's not even a word. You can toxify, for lack of better words. You can toxify anything. And the fact that here we are, and we want to say that there's a certain level of positivity that is toxic, then is it really positivity? Hey. If you're enjoying this content, do not forget to rate and review. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, be sure to rate and review. It helps us reach more people in more ways. Now, let's get back to some resilience.
Right.
Let's talk. Let's go there.
Yeah. The basis of, like, when I've been told that is basically that I'm ignoring all negativity and only saying everything's fine. Like, as if there's a fire in the background and I'm like, we're good, everything's fine. Right? Like that dog, meme or whatever it is. And my rebuttal there is like, negative things will happen. They can, they will, they did, they are, all the things, right? What you're going to do is take that and focus on those and be like, everything's awful. What I'm going to do is take that and be like, this sucks, but how can I get this to a better spot? So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to do what I need to do to fix the situation. And then moving forward, how can I create positive change from it? And that's the only way I know how, to be frank. I don't know the other way. I'm not like that. That sounds like really miserable to do the other way. And I will 10 times out of 10, like, acknowledge what's going on. I don't bottle it up. I'm not like, I'm an Irish Catholic male, but I have emotions. Like, it exists, we're able to do that. And so, I can take that, acknowledge it, like, obviously work on my emotions. And then from that point forward, I make a commitment to be intentionally positive about it. And it's worked for me. Like, I won't stop doing that. So I think that's why and if you can't tell, I get frustrated when people accuse me of that, because it's like when you're trying to pull me down into your sphere of, this is all terrible. And I'm like, not everything's awful. Mm-hmm. It really isn't. And if you want to look at it that way, that's your prerogative, and I will not be joining you. I will be waving to you as I walk by into the sunlight of, things are going to be okay. And one, that there's tough things in this world. Great, fine, fantastic. But my I guess I'll call it my superpower is to take that and look at it in a light of, like, where am I going to create change, and how will I help this get to the next level, and wake up and do it, like, and have gratitude for it. So I just, like, I won't live in that other way. I just won't. And it doesn't make people that happy when I say that. So it's really interesting.
It is interesting. Yes, it is interesting, because what blows my mind, right, is, so you see a situation, and there's obviously some improvements that can be made, but grand scale, small scale, however, you acknowledge that, right? You acknowledge that, hey, now there's opportunities here.
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to stay there. You're going to shift it. Hey, but let's see what we can do to get it there. You know, everybody is like, no, let's just stay miserable. Let's just stay mad. Like, I was one of those people. I was one of those people. Like, how can we ignore this? How can we just sit here and sit by and you not pour all your energy into the negative? And then like, I don't know what it was, but something clicked, and I was like, I'm spending a whole lot of energy on being mad, being angry, like wanting to just burn it all down, right? When I can actually take a shift, acknowledge the firestorm that's happening, and find ways to put out those flames.
Exactly. And like doing it together, you know,
Yes.
like where we come together and we make change, and no one does it alone. And I like, that's the thing that like drives me like wild about folks that and I know obviously you've shifted, which is wonderful. And like folks that are in that mindset, it's like, well, what if I like, what can we do to improve this? Like, oh, nothing, it's awful. It's like, that's not an answer. Like that doesn't suffice. Yeah. You know, and I just like, because I feel so strongly about all of us being authentic servant leaders and that we can make a change. We all have a voice. Like that just goes so against the thing that's like ingrained in my soul of like we can do it. And I've seen it happen, and I've seen good people, you know, make it work. Set like that you know, like that this whole sort of toxic positivity conversation is really, to me, an excuse for people to just be miserable. That's like, that's what I found with it, is like, no, you have to be with me in this. It's like, no, I'm not going to be. I'm gonna again, you know, acknowledge things in my life that are tough, in the world that are tough, and then make a commitment to look at them differently. And I won't bow down to sort of this negative. I was just like negative Nancy, you know what I mean? But like that whoever that person is,
and there's a million people down there.
Yeah, and like that sounds awful. I don't know why, you know, like that to live like that would be to be missing out. And to your point, Erin, like we don't have a lot of time on this earth, and if we're going to spend it having our energy being on that thing, like I'll hard pass. I'm good. Exactly. I am good. Yeah, you know, and feel free to do that without me, and I'm going to go forth and have fun and get people together and form a community. Like that's what I'm going to do. So, not sorry about it.
Sorry, not sorry. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That is, I have to like chuckle a little bit when someone says anything about toxic positivity. Just because it doesn't, like, I understand what they're trying to say, but what they're trying to say is they're not defining, or they're not explaining positivity.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it doesn't go. That's not.
It's almost like it's like accepted negativity is like, you know, like that's like let's call it like, okay, sure, we're just taking it in. This is it. Like don't make fun of the other side. Like you could be in your thing, but don't pretend like this is something to do with positivity being bad, because that's not the case. That's what, like, it's just such a weird way to define it. You know?
It's all really, really strange.
Yeah.
But this is strange times we're in. So
true.
You know,
True.
It can only get stranger. What can you think of a time or a situation you've been in that you fell just completely flat on your face?
That's a good question. Gosh, I'm trying. Like, yeah. So my like my first job out of college, I worked here in Milwaukee at a place like a life insurance company, and I had this role where I was like kind of a community volunteer coordinator and like a young adult minister all in the. It was a really interesting role. I was just trying to get a lot of people to join our organization. And my first like big thing that I was put in charge of was this large scale, like almost like a 5K walk type of like family event,
Gotcha.
not far from here, you know, not far from downtown. And my role was to like get all of our volunteers together, hand out like name tags, all this stuff. And I remember I had like 4 boxes prepared to go, and I some way somehow forgot 2 of them. I just didn't have time. I went there in the morning, and I can, to this day, I have no idea, but I got there and absolutely like crap the bed. Like, it was like, they didn't have, half of them didn't have name tags. There was no folders, and it didn't look good. And I was freaked out, and it was really bad. But I remember my boss at the time, who's now still a mentor in my life, he came up to me. He's like, yeah, like, that was, he's like, that didn't go well, right? And I was like, I know. He's like, hey, take a breath. We're here, and you're not perfect, and that's okay. And I don't know if that was like the exact line, but it was right around there. And so it's so interesting. Like, that pulled me out of that rut. And now I kind of made fun of it. I was like, yeah, guys, like, I don't know who you are, I know who you are. Just like, we're here. We're gonna make it work. And it really taught me something valuable. Like, obviously, number one, I can be really flexible, and you make anything work. Like, we're gonna use what we have, use the resources, and figure it out. I've always been like that. It's like, what are we gonna do? Make it work, figure it out. And number two is, like, none of us are perfect. Like, we're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. Like, fail fearlessly, fail with a smile on your face, and learn from that. Learn and grow and figure it out. But we're only succeeding if we're failing. Because, I mean, you think about it. Failure leads to learning, learning goes to growth, and growth goes to success. So, like, the start of that is by failing, and maybe not like a colossal failure, like, but like small things that will lead to you getting better. And that was a really important thing for me. So, like, the falling on my face flat happened. And then what I took from that is, like, I'm going to be okay. I'm gonna figure this out. Yeah, it's a good question, because I think a lot of people always focus on, like, the success. It's like, where have you messed up? Like, where's the moment that things didn't go well and you had to acknowledge it? I love it.
Yeah, because you think about it, like, all of our lives, we've really just been trying to get better,
Mm-hmm.
and making those adjustments. And I'm really big on adjustments over excuses.
Mm-hmm.
We can make excuses all day long. I feel like I've lived a million lives in my 34 years on this earth. I've been a pessimist. I've been an optimist. I've been right there in the middle. I've been very, very just wanting not to be here. And then now here I am. I'm not only do I want to live, I'm trying to encourage other people to live and have that greater human experience. And, like, we've all just been pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before the term pivot, actually, because I think after COVID, everybody was like, pivot, pivot, pivot. And then everybody's just like, gag, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, it's like unprecedented. Same thing. Yeah. We're always in unprecedented times.
Exactly. Unprecedented times.
Yeah.
We've just been making those adjustments.
Right.
And what an amazing skill it is, mm-hmm. to be able to take the lesson, apply it, and then move forward.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It's something that I don't want us to just gloss over. A lot of people just gloss over that. And mm-hmm. It's something to be said, that you can be in a situation, take the lesson, learn a lesson, and apply it so that your next situation is a little bit better. I always think of it as like playing video games, and you're on that level, and when you get to the end of the level, you got to beat the boss. But you have to use all the skills that you learned on that level to beat that boss. And you can't beat the boss and go to the next level. Well, we can't go to the next level till you beat the boss. And it's just like, that's us just trying to live a greater human experience every single day, every single, totally. Every time we open our eyes.
It's that sense of just get 1% better every day, and that's it. That's the only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. And if you're a little bit better than that person, great. A little bit better than that person. Look at that. What is that? Oh yeah, look in the mirror. Oh, there's your competition.
Literally.
You get it. Yeah, it's so true, because we live in a filtered world. None of the stuff that you see on Instagram is real. I mean, these people are, who knows, and so at the end of the day, it's you against you, and I hope you win, so it's like, right. that's it. And I agree. And to your point of, like, adapting. I mean, humans adapt. That's what we do, and things change. And as long as we're confident in it, and we've learned from our mistakes and can move forward, and really use the resources that we have at our disposal to better ourselves and to set us up for success. And rely on your people. Trust your people, and you'll get better each day. And that's how everyone started from zero, and the most famous people in the world didn't have anything for a little while, and they worked and they worked and they worked and they learned, and they surround themselves with really good people, and they were like, I'm going to do this, and they're committed. And we can all do that. That's all in all of our DNA. It could happen because we're all humans.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you want to share with the listeners, something that they can use to have a greater experience?
I would say, I have a challenge that I like to give out. That's like a really intention. It's like a gratitude challenge that folks can do each day. And I always tell people this, but when you wake up every morning, count 3 things you're grateful for. So like if the sun's out, if you smell bacon, because that's awesome. And if you're about to go for a walk, like 3 things, boom, right away. But starting your day being grateful versus being stressed is important, and that's where you start. And then when you go to bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for from the day. So maybe you rocked a test, you went for a long walk, and you had a great dinner. But have those 3 as deep or shallow as you want. And 6 things each day will start making you intentionally grateful, and you're going to see like a shift from being like just tolerating to actually living life is what I found. And that's really important. And if you forget, just do it at night. If you forget, do it in the morning, and just really get yourself in that mode. And it takes 10 seconds. If you just kind of search your day, like that's what I did, that was awesome. And you're going to realize how many small things really make a difference when it comes down to it. And maybe challenge yourself to make it 6 one morning, whatever that looks like. But starting from that center point, and you can see how it moves forward. And I do that, and it's made a big difference. And I like to share that with people because I think gratitude is really important. It's underrated, and we need to use it more often because it makes you happier, and it makes people around you happier, which is what we're all about.
Absolutely, gratitude, attitude of gratitude, like you said earlier.
You got it.
From just surviving to thriving.
Amen.
It's
Amen.
very, very important. I love that. Jim, how can we support you, and where can we go to follow you on social media?
Yeah. So Instagram and Twitter are like the 2 big things I'm on. Instagram is Jim with 2 M's, LOVE, and 23 for Michael Jordan, obviously, not LeBron. I'm a Chicago kid, so don't mind me. But and then on Twitter, I'm Jim_M_love, and I actually have a website that you can find me at too, and that's AuthenticalYou, YOU.com. I have my story on there, videos from what I do, and any of those 3 places, and my email's on there, all that kind of stuff. Hit me up, and I'd love to be a resource. And I do speak, professionally, obviously. So if you ever have a need for that, for any age, I could do 8 years old or 88 years old, depending on who wants to hear a message. So it's good. I have a good time and bring a lot of energy, and I really love what I do. So come at me and tell me what you need, and I'll be here to help.
Perfect. Love that. Jim, one final question. You ready, sir?
Yes.
What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience to me is no matter how many times you fail, you get up and you keep going, and don't stop until it's done. So that's like the nuts and bolts of it. And I know some resilient people who are super successful, and they don't care what people think of them. They just keep moving because they know what they want. So fall down, get back up, keep doing that, and shun out the people that are I guess haters, if you will. That you want to keep going. You know what you want, and be resilient through that. Not to use the same word you just asked about, but keep going. Yeah, that's what I would say for me.
Love it. That's literally the epitome of resilience in action.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Jim, thank you so much
for
spending some time. I hope you know that we are connected for life now. So there's nothing you can do about it.
Victory for me. That's great.
With me, but yes, thank you so very much for sharing your story, sharing some of your strategies and your systems that help you, be have a greater human experience every single day. I appreciate you spending some time with us.
Of course, my pleasure, Erin, and thank you all. And just really excited. I got a new friend, so we're good. That's great news.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to rate and review. And remember, resilience in action will always lead to a greater human experience.